Ilia Topuria might be the cleanest killer in MMA right now. Justin Gaethje might be the worst man alive to test that theory against. And that's what makes this fight dangerous. Because on paper, this looks like the new king walking into another coronation. Topuria is undefeated, sharp, calm, and hits like he's trying to delete doubt from the sport one punch at a time. But Justin Gaethje is not a normal title challenger. He is not here to lose politely, admire Topuria's boxing, and become another highlight in the promo package. Gaethje is crazy with a gas tank. He is leg kicks, pressure, bad intentions, and the kind of violence that makes clean fighters start making dirty decisions. So the question is not just, can Ilia Topuria beat Justin Gaethje? The real question is this: can Topuria stay perfect when Gaethje turns the fight into the exact kind of disaster he has built an entire career surviving? Because this is precision versus chaos. And chaos, as we know, has a very annoying habit of showing up without an appointment. So, let's get behind the lines. Ilia Topuria has become one of the scariest fighters in the sport because he doesn't fight like a man who's guessing. He fights like a man who already knows how the exchange ends. That's the scary part. Some fighters are fast. Some fighters hit hard. Some fighters are confident. Topuria has all of that, but he also has something a lot of power punchers don't have: patience. He doesn't just sprint into danger hoping his power saves him. He reads reactions. He sets traps. He steps into range like he owns the space. And the second you answer wrong, he makes you pay for it. But let's also be honest. Topuria is not untouchable. That matters in this fight. Against Jai Herbert, Topuria got caught clean with a head kick in the first round and got dropped. That was one of the rare moments where the aura cracked just enough for people to remember, oh right, he is still human. But the more important part is what happened after. He didn't panic. He didn't get reckless. He recovered, reset, and then came back to knock Herbert out in the second round. That tells us two things. One, Topuria can be hurt. Two, hurting him does not automatically solve the problem. That is a terrifying combination. Because if Gaethje lands early, especially with the calf kicks, the right hand, or one of those ugly pocket exchanges where the technique goes out the window and everybody's insurance premium goes up, we may get an answer to the biggest question around Topuria. Can he stay calm when the fight stops being clean? Because Justin is very good at making fights stop being clean. Gaethje gives opponents a lot of information. He moves forward, he kicks hard, he throws with commitment, he creates exchanges, he forces reactions. But every time Gaethje gives you information, he's also asking a question. Can you handle this pace? Can you take this damage? Can you stay technical when your leg is being chewed up like a discount steak? Can you keep your composure when the fight stops looking like a clean striking match and starts feeling like somebody spilled gasoline on the scorecards? That is where this gets interesting. Because Topuria is probably the sharper boxer. He's probably the cleaner puncher. He is probably the more precise finisher. But Justin Gaethje is not trying to win a beauty contest. He's trying to make the fight ugly enough that precision starts to crack. And that's the danger. Justin doesn't need to be cleaner than Ilia. He needs to make Topuria less clean than usual. That is a very different assignment. When people talk about Justin Gaethje, they usually start with the violence, which is fair. Talking about Gaethje without mentioning violence is like reviewing the ocean and skipping the water. But Gaethje is not just some wild man who wandered into the octagon because someone left the gate open. That old version of Gaethje existed, sure. Earlier in his career, he fought like defense was a rumor invented by cowards. But over time, he changed. He became more selective, more patient, more dangerous in spots. He learned when to pressure, when to reset, when to kick, and when to explode. He is still chaos, but now it's organized chaos, like a tornado with a Google Calendar. And that version of Gaethje is a nightmare for anyone thinking their skills are just going to translate cleanly. But Gaethje has his own receipts too. He has been hurt a lot. Charles Oliveira dropped him with a right hand before submitting him in the first round. Max Holloway knocked him out in the final seconds at UFC 300. Michael Chandler hurt him in that ridiculous fight where both men basically agreed defense was optional and pain was a subscription service. And that matters here because Topuria is not just powerful, he is accurate. That is the worst kind of matchup for a fighter with Gaethje's damage history. Gaethje can survive chaos because he has lived in chaos. But Topuria is not trying to survive chaos. He is trying to punish the opening that chaos creates. That is where the strategy becomes fascinating. For Gaethje, the goal is not to stand in front of Topuria and have a clean boxing match. That would be malpractice with gloves on. Gaethje needs to attack the base early. Calf kicks, low kicks, body work when Topuria resets, pressure without overcommitting, ugly exchanges, but not stupid exchanges. There's a difference. He cannot just charge in like a man trying to impose his will without thought of the consequences of doing so. He has to make Topuria uncomfortable without giving him the exact counter shot he wants. Because Topuria's boxing depends on his stance, balance, and ability to plant and fire. If Gaethje can slow the feet, compromise the stance, and make Topuria punch from worse positions, suddenly that perfect timing starts looking more human. And once Topuria looks human, the fight changes. That is Justin's path. Make the clean fighter uncomfortable. Make the sharp puncher reset. Make the undefeated man remember the Jai Herbert moment and wonder if this is the night where one shot becomes a pattern. But for Topuria, the strategy is just as clear. Do not chase Gaethje's chaos. Punish it. Gaethje has been hurt before because he gives opponents moments. He throws with commitment. He loads up. He sometimes stays in the pocket one beat too long because, frankly, Justin Gaethje has never met a firefight he didn't think needed more gasoline. Topuria has to stay patient and make those moments expensive. No ego exchanges. No proving he can beat Gaethje at Gaethje's own game. That is how people end up waking up to Joe Rogan making concerned noises. Topuria does not need to be tougher than Gaethje. He needs to be smarter than Gaethje. There is a difference. And honestly, that might be the whole fight. If Topuria fights with ego, Gaethje has a door. If Topuria fights with discipline, Justin may be walking into the sharpest punishment of his career. Because here is the uncomfortable truth for both men. Topuria has been hurt before, but he has shown he can recover and stay dangerous. Gaethje has been hurt before, and he has shown he can keep fighting through things most people would classify as a medical emergency. But recovery is not the same as safety. Topuria cannot assume his composure will save him if Gaethje damages the legs and turns every exchange into a brawl. And Justin cannot assume his toughness will save him if Ilia starts landing clean. Because toughness against Topuria might just mean giving him more chances to find the kill shot. That is why this fight is not as simple as Topuria is cleaner, so Topuria wins. Clean is the key here, but cleaner does not always survive crazy, and crazy does not always survive precision. So who gets their fight? Well, honestly, that's the whole video. If Gaethje gets his fight, this becomes a storm. Leg kicks early, pressure, dirty exchanges, Topuria resetting over and over again while Gaethje turns the volume up. That version gives Gaethje a real chance, not because he is technically superior, but because he can create a fight where technical superiority has to survive stress. But if Topuria gets his fight, this could look brutal. Not wild brutal, clinical brutal. The kind of fight where Gaethje is still tough, still dangerous, still moving forward, but every entry costs him more than he can afford. Topuria's best path is simple. Stay patient. Defend the calf kicks early. Control the pocket. Punish Gaethje when he squares up. Gaethje's best path is just as simple but much harder. Make Topuria uncomfortable without getting reckless. Attack the legs without becoming predictable. Force exchanges without giving Topuria the clean counter he lives for. That's the knife edge. One man wants a technical fight with violent consequences. The other wants a violent fight with technical openings. And whoever forces the other man to compromise first probably wins. So, here's the final read. I think Ilia Topuria wins this. I know sounds like an easy pick, but let's be real. His boxing is sharper, his counters are cleaner, his finishing instincts are elite. And if he can manage the leg kicks early, keep his composure, and avoid getting dragged into a Gaethje-style car crash, he has the tools to hurt Justin badly. The danger for Gaethje is that the openings he gives opponents are exactly the kind of openings Topuria punishes. That's a problem. Gaethje can survive a lot, but surviving against Topuria may just give Topuria more time to find the shot. And once Topuria finds the shot, he does not usually need an invitation to finish the job. So my lean is Topuria, but not because Gaethje is easy. Absolutely not. Justin is the kind of opponent who can make a smart pick look stupid in one exchange. He can chop the leg. He can force plan abandonment. He can turn a clean fight into a brawl. And if Topuria decides to prove he can beat Justin at Justin's game, this fight could get dangerous very fast. That is Gaethje's path. Make Topuria uncomfortable. Make him impatient. Make him trade. Make him pay for thinking this is just another step toward greatness. But if Topuria stays disciplined, if he respects the danger without fearing it, if he keeps the fight at his speed and punishes Gaethje's entries, then this might be the night where Ilia Topuria does not just win, he sends a message to the entire lightweight division. The power came with him and he proved it once again, and the problem is not going away anytime soon. Now, I want to hear from you. Is Justin Gaethje being underestimated again? Or is Ilia Topuria about to make another dangerous name look like he arrived one era too late? Drop your prediction in the comments. Does Gaethje drag him into chaos? Or does Topuria turn chaos into target practice? Hey, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Shout out to our member of the week this week, Personal Stash 420. Thanks for the continued support. Make sure you stay tuned for more as we break down the fight game without the smoke machine and push through the MMA, YouTube, social media sensationalism nonsense with real fight talk from an ex-fighter and a real-world fight trainer. I'm Reggie Cross, and this is Behind the Lines. If you're feeling the vibe, hit that subscribe. And remember, height fades, legacy don't. Peace. 745